difference is, and that's a different process. Unfortunately, our system from the beginning was not set up to do that. And that's the reason why we're not able to answer the broader questions of how many people in the country are infected right now. We hope to get there reasonably soon, but we're not there now.
What is your opinion on the question I was asked by this employer? Do I take the risk of when you walk in that door, no symptoms, you just see what, whether it's a temperature, whether it's asking questions, they are petrified of the outcome if they do that. They're also petrified of somebody having the virus when they walk in the door and then being held liable if they infect. And this company has 500 employees. They do shifts, working 3 shifts. What's your advice?
You know, at this point, our strongest advice is that people that are sick need to stay home. Those companies that are in areas where we're having significant cases, if they can, telework, we're recommending that. Those companies that are where with cases, we're asking for social distancing. We're not asking for everybody to come at the lunchtime and sit at the same table. We put out a series of guidelines, but what we're not advocating, and obviously individuals that just returned from Italy or France or Germany, we'd like them to stay home for 14 days. But we're not advocating the use of these tests in a broad way in the absence of a relationship with a physician or public health official to make that determination.
Second question. We've got probably 80 people in this room. The questions that I'm getting asked, in this room today, what are the likelihood? I don't know who's got what in this room. Walk me through the likelihood of any one of us in this room getting the virus, assuming somebody here has the symptoms.
Again, still the real risk in general right now, and this is why the president took the action he did last night. Within the world now, over 70% of the new cases are linked to Europe. And in the United States, I think it was now 30 states in our country. 30 states or more were linked actually to cases of Europe. Europe is the new China, and that's why the president made those statements. Clearly, we can only continue to emphasize the basics that we've all said about washing your hands, obviously staying away from people that are sick, learning how to cough correctly, don't touch your face, although we all know it's very complicated. To try to not touch your face during the day. But I think it's really important that we also are moving quickly with broader mitigation strategies based on the virus, and Tony may want to add to this. So some of that is really encouraging social distancing in the workplace, really encouraging social distancing in restaurants, really encouraging social distancing at sporting events. So Tony, you want to add?
Yeah. So, sir, it's a great question because you're right, everybody's asking it. And the issue is, in the spirit of staying ahead of the game, right now, we should be doing things that separate us as best as possible from people who might be infected. And there are ways to do that. We use the word social distancing, but most people don't know what that means. For example, crowds. We just heard that they're going to limit access to the Capitol. That's a really, really good idea to do. I know you like to meet and press the flesh with your constituencies.
Not now.
I think you need to really cool it for a while, because we should be practicing mitigation even in areas that don't have a dramatic increase. I mean, everyone looks to Washington State, they look to California, they're having an obvious serious problem. But their problem now may be our problem tomorrow. So we've got to act like there's going to be a problem. And that means doing everything you possibly can to do the guidelines that the CDC puts up, which sound very simplistic, but they're really important.
Common sense.
Common sense, yes.
Finally, I know when this first became public, I think this country had test kits out in an effort to find a vaccine to those willing, I guess, to be tested. Where are we on that?
I want to just sort of stress the complexity of getting tests, as we've heard from a number of your colleagues, is not just about having the reagents that CDC originally made for a test. You obviously need that test kit, and we've put out in the public health system over 75,000, so the public health labs have that. But the public health labs actually have to have the people to do the test, and what is their capacity to do the test? They have to have the equipment to do the test, and what's the capacity of the equipment they have? They have to have some of the early reagents that they need, not to get too technical, but you got to extract nucleic acid in order for the test to go into our kit. So there's a whole system that we can see that there's different, limitations as we expand. CDC, I tried to explain why we used the system we did, which is a thermocycler system, which is not a system that you can do, tens of thousands of tests very easily. You're really limited, some labs between, say, 20, 50. CDC can do between 300 and 350 a day, okay? There's other systems that can do really thousands, okay? And those systems are what are coming online with LabCorp and Quest, and it actually New York State really recently got approved to put their system online. So I want people to sort of understand that, that whole scenario in terms of actually. And then, one of the great things about LabCorp and Quest coming in is they already have the distribution system, the collection system. So the more they get into the clinical marketplace, the faster the American public can get access to this.
I just want to thank you. And Madam Chairman, I appreciate you letting me have 8 minutes.